Hello guys and welcome back to Mental Health Mondays. I hope you are all well. Today I wanted to chat about BPD, specifically how to live a normal life with BPD. A lot of the time when I meet new people, they're always really surprised about my story. I mean, I'm a huge oversharer and I feel like I just tell my life story a lot to people when I meet them for the first time. But the fact that people are always so surprised is a huge compliment to me. And I've spoken about it a lot in my videos that BPD is something that never really goes away. You just kind of learn to cope with it and deal with it. And after years of kind of therapy and medication, I feel like I finally kind of got it under control, and at the moment I'm able to live a relatively normal life. I'm saying normal like this because obviously like BPD does like to pop up every now and then. So I just wanted to like make a video on my tips on how to live a normal life with BPD and show you guys that it is possible. I've gone from being a very suicidal, lost, angry, hurt person to this I don't want to use the word like enlightened, transformed. I'm going to say like educated person who deals with my mental health and has learned to cope with my mental health. I have somehow been able to create this life for myself because of BPD. I now live by myself, far away from my parents. I work for myself. I manage to keep myself and my dog alive and as healthy and happy as possible. You know, I've traveled a lot. I see my friends. I do all of the things that a normal, like, happy adult should do at this age, I guess. And I've also managed to beat BPD, which I feel is probably my biggest achievement in life. Let's get into the tips. These tips are obviously specific to what I'm diagnosed with, but they apply across the board. So tip number one is medication. I wouldn't have been able to recover and therefore live a life, kind of a normal life, without medication. I feel like with recovery with BPD, medication is a necessity. I've done numerous videos on medication and exactly the type of medications that I've been on, but essentially I would say a combination of antidepressants and anti-anxieties for me is what really helped. Medication is not like the sole solver of all issues, but it definitely helps to give you that platform to work from, to be able to recover and kind of function as a normal human being. But essentially then coming off medication is what has then allowed me to live even more of a normal life, because I found that it got to a point where the benefits of the medication were not enough to outweigh the side effects. So I had so many different side effects, and one of my main ones was dissociation, and so coming off medication has really helped decrease that dissociation, which is where you just don't really feel like things are real. You don't really feel connected to the world around you. So yeah, no, medication is a difficult one, but I would definitely say that's the first point. Number two, therapy. Go to therapy and talk about what you feel. I still go to therapy once a month. When I was more ill, I had therapy more frequently. I wouldn't have been able to be in the position that I am and make these videos and be able to put words to how I feel so eloquently without therapy, because essentially it is CBT and it's DBT that has taught me the way my mind growing up kind of learnt to think, and then a lot of my therapy has been unraveling that and kind of rewiring the circuits in my brain to not kind of behave in such negative and destructive ways. And therapy is so important, but talking on the whole is so important, and I will always encourage people to also talk to their friends and family about how they feel. The support of my friends and family has been like a massive part of my recovery, but that leads me into my next point, to not rely on others. This has been a massive learning curve for me. In the past, I would put all my happiness into one person, and then when I lost that person, I would not know what to do. A lot of my growth and my learning with recovery has been learning to be independent and also getting to know me, which is also difficult with BPD when you have an unstable sense of self, and it's also difficult just on the whole, just learning exactly who you are, especially if in the past who you are has been dictated by a mental illness. Being independent can be a curse sometimes, because I do, like where I work and I live by myself, I have a lot of time to overthink, but this also means that, especially like in the past 3 months of my life, I would say I've done like the most thinking about who I am and it's just about life in general than I have like ever in my whole entire life. I feel like it's because I am now single, I'm 25, I'm like doing all these things that I never thought in a million years I'd be doing, so I guess I've got to know myself a lot better. One thing I have learned is that I do have the answers, and a lot of the time it is okay to ask for help, but what I'm trying to say is that essentially the recovery comes from you and the maintaining your mental health comes from you. We can't rely on other people for our happiness. Number 4 is to not let BPD define you, and I think this is such an important thing, because I feel like when you get diagnosed with BPD, well, number 1, like especially if you Google it, there's so much negative stigma around it, so just please don't listen to Google. This diagnosis can make you feel quite alienated from the rest of society. Hopefully watching my videos will make you feel less alone, but on the whole, like obviously it is a small percentage, well it's not that small percentage of people that do have borderline personality disorder. Having any mental health problem can make you feel kind of disconnected from society, but what you actually need to remember is that the majority of society are suffering with mental health problems. I don't want you guys to be sitting around thinking that you're so different and that no one understands you, because so many people in this world have traits of BPD, but I guess what I would describe BPD as is kind of human emotions but taken to the extreme. You know, BPD is such a small part of you, it is not you. Tip number 5 is to monitor your thoughts, but to not monitor them too much. Now this comes back to keeping tabs on your mental health. So it's so important that in recovery we do monitor how we feel, and I feel like you learn through recovery to spot your triggers and to look into the cycles of kind of, you know, where this BPD evolved from, etc, etc. Often like I get anxious that I'm anxious, if that makes sense. I can sit and I can really monitor my thoughts, and I can criticize myself for every single thought that comes up. So I think it's important to monitor your thoughts and just kind of keep tabs on thinking, okay, my mental health is slipping this week, why could this be? Be in tune with your mental state, but not to the point where you're literally sat there and your mental health is all that you can think about. It's so important that we do things that bring us joy in life, because I feel like mental illness can really suck joy out of life, and spend time with people and do things that make you even forget that you had a mental illness to begin with. Number 6, and this is an important one, remember that when you're recovered, this doesn't mean you're going to be that way forever. It's not like something that you can be like, okay, yep, completed BPD recovery, I never have to worry about it anymore. Recovery is not linear. Like, you're gonna have so many ups and downs, and even when you're so far in recovery that you're living this normal life and you forget that you have BPD, sometimes it can just come and absolutely knock you off of your feet. You know, I'm so on top of my mental health on the whole. I've learned so much about it, I can articulate it so well, I can talk about it, I can do all of the right things, yet still that it almost makes it worse, because I still feel shit. Like, I still feel the feelings, I can just put words to it and I can recover from it quicker, sure, but I still do get bouts of feeling suicidal, albeit they're fleeting moments. And I do still get urges, and I do still, you know, have moments of recklessness. I've relapsed, I've just not relapsed as bad as my worst. And I hope that that's the case for the rest of my life. Sometimes when you are happy, you don't even want to think about mental illness, but then you almost kind of neglect your mental health and don't take the steps to look after yourself. So it's kind of striking a balance between being aware of it and implementing little things in your day that keep you well, keeping on top of my diet, my sleep, my exercise, etc., and not hating myself if I let those things slip. I think when it comes to relapses, again, it's a difficult balance because you want to be prepared for when it does come around, and I will say that you should have a kind of plan in place of what keeps you well and what's helped you get through in the past. But equally, we don't want to be worrying about relapsing when we're well, because a lot of the time when I'm well and when I'm happy, I'm constantly thinking, I know there's a crash coming, I know there's a crash coming, I know there's a crash coming. Getting the balance is hard, but I think acceptance is the key word here, and accepting that wherever I am in life and in my recovery, that is fine. And with relapses, I always like to try and think of them as learning experiences and try it, and always ask myself, what is this relapse trying to teach me? And that leads me to my final point. I've written this on my laptop in my notes for planning this video as CBPD as a gift. I really don't want to sound like one of these people that is like, you know, you need to think about the positives. All I'm gonna say is that we focus way too much on the negatives in life and with mental illness. It's so hard to think of the positives when you are in the midst of BPD and you think, I'm never gonna get better, and like, what did I do to deserve this? But just know that if you are going through anything right now, if you put the work in, you will come out the other side a much better person, a much stronger person, because you do have the power to overcome it, but you've got to put that energy in, which is difficult. The thing is, like, without BPD, I wouldn't be living the life I'm living today. Like, that's a fact. And I just always want to be here to tell you guys that it is possible, that you can live a normal life. And sometimes I do feel like a fraud because I do slip back into old habits, but that is totally normal. And anyway, what is a normal life? Who defines a normal life? Anyway, I hope that this video helped. It means the world to me when you guys like and comment on these videos. Pretty much all of my mental health videos get demonetized by YouTube. So if you do like my videos and you do get something from them, then it would mean the world to me if you guys would share them with anyone else that you think it could help. Give this video a thumbs up if you did like it. I'll see you guys in my next video, and until then, goodbye.